you wish to see it. Okay. There it is. Kaushik Babu, Jamboard background you wanted to see it, right? Okay. Is that good? All right. I don't know how different inks will actually write on this. This is good. This is okay. I feel these are all right. No issues. Japet says, I could not post my homework on Learnity, sir. I sent to you in WhatsApp. Yeah, I received it. But try to upload it on Learnity only, no? Try to compress the file and upload it on Learnity. See, Japet, you sent to me on WhatsApp, no? That file is 3.3 MB only. It is not 4 MB. WhatsApp automatically compresses it. Okay, so you can use that picture to upload on Learnity. Kaushik Babu asks, there is no link in Learnity. I'm not sure about it. I don't know. Raghavendra says white screen was better. Kaushik Babu, the people are saying only white screen is better. I'm changing the background. Back to white. Okay, so good. Am I audible? All right, great. So I'm closing the chat now. Let us continue with integration. Okay. Where can I submit my homework? Please say, sir. Try to find the link on Learnity, compress the picture and send it on Learnity itself, upload it on Learnity itself. If you cannot upload it on Learnity, upload it on Google Classroom or maybe send to me in WhatsApp. Santru asks, integration is for term exam or not? He's asking. See, listen, I told you yesterday, integration, calculus, vectors, these are all like tools. Don't ask me if they will be for exams. Okay, they may not be specifically as a chapter, they may not be there for the exam, but there might be a question in exam which may use integration, which may use differentiation, which may use vectors or something. Okay, so they are all just part of these chapters that we are learning. So they are not particularly separate chapters. Do not think of them like that. Okay, good. Portion for midterm or term 1 test. I'll update to you guys. Most probably the portion for midterm exam, the portion for term 1 exam will be up to chapter 4 as in NCERT textbook. Okay, term exam portions subject to test. It will probably be chapters 1, 2, 3, 4 in physics textbook, NCERT textbook. Okay, chapter 1 is almost nominal. There's nothing there. Physical world and measurement, barely 1 or 2 marks will be there from it. Okay, everything else will be from chapters 2, 3, 4. Units and dimensions, motion in 1 dimension, motion in 2 dimensions. Okay. NCERT portions are enough, yes. Vetrivel is asking circular motion. Circular motion will not be there for midterm exam. Circular motion will not be included for midterm exam. Okay. In your NCERT textbook, circular motion is there in chapter 4. However, that alone is not there for the exam. Vectors is there, yes. Kaushik Babu asks, what is d by dx of infinity? Nobody knows what is infinity. So, but infinity is some fixed value only. So yeah, I would say 0, but I don't care. Don't worry about it. See, Kaushik Baba, I'll tell you in a very simple way. Whenever mathematicians come across some problem where they cannot specify the answer, they know how to get the answer to the question, but they are not able to find that answer. Okay? Or whenever they have to say they can't do something, they generally use the word infinity. Say, for example, where do parallel lines meet? Instead of saying the parallel lines do not meet, they say they meet at infinity. Okay, they meet at infinity. If these are two parallel line segments do not meet, but parallel lines meet at infinity. So saying parallel lines meet at infinity basically means that they don't meet anywhere that you can see. Okay, 1 by 0. What is 1 divided by 0? You cannot perform that division. So you say it is infinity. 1 by 0 is infinity because that division is not definitely possible. Okay. Yeah. Satru, maybe I don't know. Could be a constant, may not be a constant. I have no idea about infinity now. See, let me tell you something. Infinity is so unknown to human beings. Okay. Infinity is so unknown to human beings that the biography of Srinivasan Ramanujam was called as the man who knew infinity. That is how catchy the title is. One of the best titles ever, I would say. The infinity, the concept of infinity is so unknown to human beings, ordinary human beings, and such that the biography of Srinivas Ramanujam was called the man who knew infinity. That's how great he was, and that's how unknown infinity was to us. Anyway, Samhita, don't worry. It is just giving a anonymous name because it does not know you. It is giving you an anonymous name. Don't worry about it. Okay, so let us delve a little deeper into integration. Yesterday, I told you we'll write a table for integration. So here is a table. A function and its integral. Integral particularly primitive. What is primitive? See, I told you integral of cos x dx is equal to sin x plus c. We write no. We write integral of cos x dx as sin x plus c. If I don't write that c and I simply answer it as sin x, this sin x is called primitive of cos x. Okay, sin x plus c, the whole thing is called integral of cos x. That is basically the difference between those two. Understood? The integral of cos x dx is sin x plus c. So you say primitive of cos x is sin x. Think of it like this. Primitive is something that you have to differentiate to get the function, or an integral with no constant is what is called as primitive. Integral with no constant is what is called as primitive. So basically, primitive is one of the several integrals. Not all integrals are primitives. Primitives is just one of the several integrals that a function can have. Okay. So when I'm writing the function and integral, I'm basically writing the primitive only, which means, say for example, if the function is 0, the primitive is also 0. Integral of 0 is 0 only. If you want to find integral, you say plus c, that's all. So that is what I mean. Primitive of 0 is 0. Integral of 0 with respect to x is 0 plus c, which is equal to c, constant. Understood? So now in this table, I'm not going to write cos x on this side and sin x plus c on this side. I am only going to write sin x here. That is the idea. That is why I'm writing primitive word. Okay, not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Yeah, function. If the function is 1, the integral or the primitive for it is x, which means, this means what? Integral 0 dx is equal to 0 plus c. This means what? Integral 1 dx is equal to x plus c, like that. Integral k, function in the k, apo integral of that or primitive of that is basically kx. This means integral k dx is equal to kx plus c. Next, what is integral of x? What is integral of or primitive of x? Think about it. What is primitive of x or what is integral of x? So how should you think about answer of this? Integral of x means what? You should think as if, what should I differentiate? Okay, what function should I differentiate to get x? You may think x square. Okay, good. If I differentiate x square, you get what? 2x. Upward to get x. What do you differentiate? D by dx of x square by 2. You just bring this 2 to the left hand side because it is only a coefficient, no? Because it is only a coefficient, it will not harm your answer. D by dx of x square by 2 is equal to x, which means primitive of x is x square by 2. This means integral of x dx is equal to x square by 2 plus c. Similarly, primitive of x square is x cube by 3. Logic, think about it. Integral of x square dx is equal to x cube by 3 plus c. How do you know? Differentiate this, see if you are getting this. If you differentiate this, what do you get? 3x square by 3. 3 get cancelled, leaving x square. So good. Similarly, for x power n, let us generalize it. Let us generalize it. For x power n, primitive is x power n plus 1 divided by n plus 1. Primitive of x power n is x power n plus 1 divided by n plus 1. Integral of x power n dx is equal to x power n plus 1 divided by n plus 1 plus c, where there is a condition here, where n is not equal to minus 1. Where n is not equal to minus 1. Why should I write that? Why can't n be minus 1? If n is minus 1, then this denominator becomes 0. N plus 1 becomes 0. If n is equal to minus 1, then n plus 1 becomes 0, rendering the answer to be undefined or infinite. Such answers are not valid in maths. Understood? So anything. So these are like, when you learn to the domain of a function, you might have come across these things. So integral of x power n dx is not valid like this. Integral of x power n dx is equal to x power n plus 1 by n plus 1 plus c is not valid for n is equal to minus 1. But what if n is equal to minus 1? X power minus 1 is what actually? X power minus 1 is 1 by x. If the function is 1 by x, it means what? It is of the form x power minus 1. So even though it looks like x power n, okay, even though it looks like x power n, we do not use x power n integral formula because n is equal to minus 1 here. So integral of 1 by x is actually ln x. Primitive is ln x. Integral is integral of 1 by x dx is equal to ln x plus c. Ln x plus c. Understood or not? But there is a problem here also. There is a problem here also. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. When you say integral of 1 by x dx, when you say integral of 1 by x dx, this is given by you, is it not? This is a question. Question means this is given. Integral of 1 by x dx, which means You are already rooting out x is not equal to 0. You are already ruling out x is equal to 0. You are saying x is not 0 because you are saying 1 by x, no? When you are given a function 1 by x, it already means that x is not 0. Because if x is 0, the function is not defined. The function is not at all defined. So if they have given a question, integral of 1 by x dx, so it is already ruled out that x is 0. Okay? But when you answer it as ln x plus c, by definition of logarithms, whatever argument inside the logarithm is, whatever is the argument of the logarithm function, that argument must always be greater than 0. That is the definition of logarithm. A logarithm is only defined for an input, for an argument that is positive. Log 0, not defined. Log of a negative number, not defined. I am not talking about base. I am talking about argument of the function. When you say log x, that x I am talking about. That x cannot be negative or 0 according to definition of logarithm. Okay. So in the question, when you say integral of 1 by x dx, you are already ruling out 0 for x. But this means x can be greater than 0 or x can be less than 0 also. But the answer when you say ln x plus c, it will include x less than 0 also. So you have to be precise while answering ln of some positive number. For that purpose, we put a modulus for x. We say integral of 1 by x dx is ln of mod x plus c. Why do I have to say ln of mod x plus c? Because the question only gave 1 by x, meaning the question only ruled out 0 for x. So it accepts negative values for x, positive values also for x. In the answer, if you say ln x plus c, it means you are including negative values for x as well as positive values for x. But logarithm cannot accept negative values for x. Therefore, you have to put a modulus for that x, making it absolutely positive. Understood this or not? Okay. You may ask me, sir, in derivatives, we write like this: d by dx of ln x is equal to 1 by x. There, we don't worry about mod x. Why? Because here, this is given. In derivatives, you are asking, what is the derivative of ln x? Which means ln x is given, which means it is already like x is not equal to 0. X less than 0 ruled out. X is not equal to 0. X is equal to 0 is also ruled out. When you said ln x, when ln x was given to you, already negative values and 0 value for x is ruled out. Only positive values are there. Positive value for x is okay for 1 by x. Therefore, you don't change anything. No problem at all. But in integrals here, integral of 1 by x dx, you cannot answer it as ln x plus c because there will be a problem here. Understood, no? Yeah. Can c be 0, sir? Kanish, c is a constant. It can be any value. No problem at all. Balumurugan SP, you want to ask a doubt? Yes, ask it. I'll wait for you 1 minute. Balumurugan. Balumurugan wants to ask a doubt? Ask. No issues. Meanwhile, others, did you understand? Integral of 1 by x dx is not casually ln x plus c. It should be ln of mod x plus c. Vetrivel. So what's the takeaway? The takeaway is that the answer that you give must always be according to the domain of the function in the given question. Yeah. Sir, if we have a condition that log can't accept negative values, why aren't we ruling out negative x as such? Yeah, you can. If they ask you this question, integral of 1 by x dx as x is greater than 0, then the answer is ln x plus c only, no? The question is like that, okay? If the question itself is what is integral of 1 by x dx as x is greater than 0, then you can say ln x plus c because you know that x cannot be negative, x cannot be 0. Using the mod serves a purpose because you did not mention x greater than 0. It means x can take negative values also. So I have to specifically say ln of mod x because I don't want to give negative values to the logarithm. I can give negative values to x. See, listen, when I say ln mod x, it means x can be negative. X can be positive. But ln is taking only positive values. Understood or not? The input x can still be negative or positive. But when the input goes to logarithm, it becomes positive and goes to logarithm. That is the purpose of modulus. Okay, x is an integral, x is a variable, mod x is a function, and you are feeding mod x value to ln. Yeah, correct. Understood? No, the input for ln is not x, it is mod x. The input for mod is x. So it's a composite function. Ln of mod x is a composite function. Kaushik is asking what is integral of 1 by log x? That will be a very tricky answer. Pranav asks, sir, I have a doubt. Suppose they ask us to differentiate sine 0 with respect to 0. They won't. You need variables to differentiate, Pranav. Pranav, you need variables to differentiate. You cannot differentiate a constant with respect to a constant. Okay? You differentiate a dependent variable with respect to an independent variable, and then maybe find the derivative at a particular value of independent and dependent variables, x and y values. That you can do. But you do not differentiate a constant with respect to a constant. Okay? I mean, there's no point. Okay? What is dk1 by dk2? Where k1 and k2 both are constants. Change in k1 is 0, change in k2 is 0. This is not a determinant form at all. It is an indeterminate form. I told you, limits will already told you. 0 by 0 is an indeterminate form. It may have a value, we don't know. We just don't know. Tanish asks, is there any trick to find integrals? Yeah, study integrals. Study integrals properly, learn this table properly, and remember the answers. Very well. So dy by dx of ln x has two results. No. No. Why do you think it has two results? Very well. Very well. Why do you think it has two results? Dy by dx. I mean, d by dx of ln x is equal to 1 by x. That's all. No doubt there. Because x cannot be negative. Yeah, but x cannot be negative. No, so there are no two cases at all. It's a simple, straightforward thing. D by dx of ln x, you are already saying x cannot be negative. You are already saying x cannot be 0. Up, I can say answer is 1 by x. No problem at all. They want the magnitude of what? X. If they ask you magnitude of that, then you need the value of x. Don't worry unless. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Vetrivel asked a good question. Many of you may have the same question. Listen properly. Again, look at the board, please. Vetrivel is asking, mod x means plus or minus x. No, sir. No. No. Mod x does not mean plus or minus x. Please understand. Mod x does not mean plus or minus x. Okay? It's like a vending machine. You put a coin, you get something in return. You don't get two things in return. It's a function. It will always give you a unique value as an answer. Mod x means plus or minus x. Tappu. Wrong. Galat. Mistake. Understood? What is mod? Modulus is called absolute value function. Modulus operator is basically a function, absolute value function, also called modulus function. Okay, written as like this, mod x. What is mod x? mod x is equal to x if x is greater than 0. Mod x is equal to minus x if x is less than 0. Mod x is equal to 0 if x is equal to 0. Now tell me if mod x has 3 values or only one value. Just that is the definition of mod x. Look at the definition of mod x and tell me if it has 3 values or one value. That's all I'm asking. Look at the definition and tell me if mod x has 3 values or one value. Mod x is equal to x when x is greater than 0. Mod x is equal to minus x if x is less than 0. Mod x is equal to 0 if x is equal to 0. So mod x has how many values? Right, only one value. Mod x has only one value, not 3 values. Okay, it is x or it is minus x or it is 0 subject to different conditions. So mod of 3 is what? X is positive here. So mod x is equal to x. So answer is 3. Mod of minus 4 is equal to x is negative here. So answer is minus x. So minus of minus 4 is equal to 4. Mod of 0 is equal to, here x is 0. So mod x is also 0. Done. So how many values are you getting? Mod of 3. Are you getting 3 values for mod of 3? No, only one value, 3. Are you getting 3 values for mod of 4? No, you are only getting one value, 4. Understood or not? The output is only one value. What is mod root 3? Root 3. What is mod minus 1 by root 2? 1 by root 2. What is mod minus 1.414? 1.414. Whatever you give an input to modulus function, it will give you a positive version of it as output. That's all. That is called modulus function. Okay. Now a different question arises like this. See, for example, if someone asks you x is equal to mod 3, is that a linear function or a quadratic function? Tell me. X is equal to mod 3. What does it mean? This implies x is equal to what? If x is equal to mod 3, then x is equal to 3. That's all. Very good. Simple. Keep it as simple. Don't think a lot. Okay. Don't wander around with your thoughts. X is equal to mod 3. What is mod 3? 3. That's all. Finished. Very simple. But if the question is like this, different question. Mod x is equal to 3. Then x is equal to what? This is a different question now. Mod x is equal to 3. Then x is equal to what? Okay. So the previous question is like asking what is absolute value of 3? Answer is 3. Absolute value of 3 is 3. Now this question means what? This question mod x is equal to 3. It means like asking which value has an absolute value 3. Understood? Are you understanding? The absolute value of what number is 3? So what can you substitute for x to get absolute value of 3? You can substitute 3. Mod of 3 is 3. You can substitute minus 3 also. Mod of minus 3 is also 3 only. So here x is equal to 3 or minus 3. Two solutions you have, not just one. That is basically why you get confused. Understood? So mod x is not equal to x or minus x. Understand? But mod x is equal to a where a is greater than 0 implies x is equal to a or minus a. Now, can you understand the difference between these two statements, this one and this one? Can you understand the difference between those two statements? Mod x is equal to an absolute value, that's all. It's only a single value. Mod x is a single value, but mod x is equal to a, that is an equation. That equation may have more than one root also. Say for example, I ask a question like this. Mod x is equal to minus root 2. Now tell me, this implies x is equal to what? Answer this question. Mod x is equal to minus root 2. Upper x is equal to what? Kaushik Babu, we are not finding modulus of minus root 2. We are not finding modulus of minus root 2. We are trying to find values of x. We are trying to find values of x for which if you put modulus, you get a negative output. Okay? On any sort of number, if you put a modulus function, modulus operator, absolute value function, you will never get a negative output. No roots possible. Mod x is equal to minus root 2 has no roots. Mod x is equal to minus root 2 has no roots. Mod x is equal to minus root 2 has no roots at all. That equation has no roots at all. Yes, Kanish. Are we able to understand this? Now, there is a basic mistake that people may do. Mod x is equal to 3. Now, what is the answer? People may do like this, squaring on both sides. You get what? Mod x whole square is equal to 3 square. This implies x square is equal to 9. Mod x whole square is x square only, no problem at all. It's only a square, no? Not an issue. Mod x whole square can be written as x square. Now this implies x is equal to 3 or minus 3 because it is a quadratic equation. Because it is a quadratic equation. But what if someone asks mod x is equal to minus root 2? Can I perform these steps? Squaring on both sides. Mod x square is equal to minus root 2 whole square. This implies x square is equal to 2. It is a quadratic equation, which means x is equal to root 2 or minus root 2. Do you see the mistake here? This thing, no, squaring on both sides. It is a very, very wrong step mathematically. Squaring on both sides is not a good way of solving a problem. Is not a good way of solving a problem. Squaring on both sides is not at all a good way of answering or solving a mathematical problem. Okay, but in some maths questions, you may have to use this. You may have to go for squaring on both sides. There may not be any other way. You may have to square on both sides so that you can remove all the irrational expressions. Okay, in such cases, in such questions, in such solutions, when you do squaring on both sides, whatever you get an answer, verify those answers by substituting them in the question. Verify those answers by substituting back in the question. Okay, verification. Say, let us say x is equal to root 2 is going to be verified. How do you verify? Mod of root 2. You know that mod of root 2 is root 2, which is not equal to minus root 2 as given in the question. So, that is not a root. X is equal to minus root 2 you put. Mod of minus root 2 is also equal to root 2, which is not equal to minus root 2 as given in the question. Ruled out. Again, not a root, which means even though it looks like, even though you have solved the question to get 2 roots, those are not the 2 roots for the equation. That is why this equation has no roots. Okay. In the above problem also we have done squaring on both sides, which means these 2 roots are not reliable. We have done squaring on both sides. So x is equal to 3 or minus 3. Those 2 roots may not be reliable roots. So verify. How do you verify? Left hand side you have mod 3. Right hand side you have 3. True. So x is equal to 3 is a good root. No problem. Left hand side you have minus 3. Mod x. So mod of minus 3. Mod of minus 3. Right hand side you have 3. Left hand side becomes 3. Mod of minus 3 is 3 only, no? So 3 is equal to 3. So that is correct also. So minus 3 is also a good root. So both the roots are valid roots for the equation. Understood? Nikhil Krishna is saying, sir, but substituting answer in a question and checking in every question is very much time consuming in exams. Is there another way? That is the only way you can do. That is the only way you can do. You are not going to do this in every question. Whenever you solve using methods like squaring on both sides, you have to do this. You have to do this. There is no other way. Okay? Okay, for more clarity on this, let me ask you a question. Log of x plus 1 plus log of x minus 1 to the base 10. Both are to the base 10. Log of x plus 1 to the base 10 plus log of x minus 1 to the base 10 is equal to log 99 to the base 10. Solve. Try to answer this question. Try to answer that question. So some of us are saying answer is 10. Some of us are saying answer is plus or minus 10. Okay. Plus or minus 10 is wrong. But that's how the answer looks like very much. We don't like we won't feel like we have done a mistake in the solution at all, right? Plus or minus 10 seems to be correct answer. Those who are saying plus 10 only, maybe only guessing. We don't know. They may not have solved it properly. They may not know the answer why. Okay, how to solve this? Log A plus log B. I mean, sum of logarithms is basically logarithm of products. Logarithm of product. So log of x plus 1 plus log of x minus 1 is basically log of x square minus 1 to the base 10. Product. Log of x plus 1 into x minus 1. Log of x square minus 1 to the base 10. And it is given as log of 99 to the base 10. This is given. So using logarithm concepts, we can say x square minus 1 is equal to 99. X square is equal to 100. It is a quadratic expression. X is equal to plus or minus 10. Plus 10 or minus 10. But remember something. Logarithm is a problematic function. Logarithmic function is a problematic function. The domain of logarithm of a function, domain of a logarithmic function is not necessarily always all real numbers. It may not accept any input that you can substitute. Okay, you have to verify this answer. You have to verify this answer. If x is equal to 10, verify. LHS is equal to what? Log of 10 plus 1 is base 10 plus log of 10 minus 1 to the base 10, which is equal to log of 11 to the base 10 plus log of 9 to the base 10, which is equal to log of 11 into 9 to the base 10, which is equal to log of 99 to the base 10, which is equal to RHS. So properly proved, no problem at all. If x is equal to minus 10, then LHS is equal to, this is what we are doing as verification. Understood? LHS is equal to log of minus 10 plus 1 minus 9 to the base 10 plus log of minus 10 minus 1 minus 11 to the base 10. If you continue to do log of minus 9 into minus 11 to the base 10, which is equal to log 99 to the base 10, which is equal to RHS. And if you think LHS is equal to RHS, therefore answer must be right. No, you have already gone wrong during this step. We have already gone wrong during this step. Logarithm is not defined for negative inputs. Logarithm is not defined for negative inputs, which means from this step going to this step at all is already wrong. So you should not have continuously, you should not have continued to the next step at all. This is not valid. So this is not valid. X is equal to minus 10 is not a valid answer. Only x is equal to plus 10 is the answer. Even though it does not feel like we have done a mistake anywhere. Yeah? Understand? Pranav, I am not able to see all messages. Sorry, there are a lot of messages. I might be missing something. Gayatri, if we have minus 10, then we get x plus 1 equal minus 9. Log of that is not defined. Very good. Correct. Ashwin, yes. Sir, can I please know why you are teaching logarithms as we are not continuing with the integrals? We will be. We are trying to clarify that concept. Why ln of mod x needs to be written. We are basically continuing with the concept. Why ln of mod x needs to be written. That's all. Okay. This was the table we are dealing with. Integral of 1 by x dx is equal to ln mod x plus c, because when I feed x to logarithm, I have to make sure that x is not 0, not positive, or not negative. Okay, I have to make sure that x is only positive. But in the question that I gave, integral of 1 by x dx, I am only saying that x is not 0, which means x could be negative or x could be positive. I cannot feed that directly to logarithm when I give it as an answer. So I have to say logarithm of mod x plus c. Vyagul asks, why log is not defined for negative, sir? I think that is a question you have to ask your maths teacher. It is something to do with inverse functions, bijective functions, 1, 1 on 2, and all that. Your maths teacher will be able to explain it better because he has to do a lot before that. Nikhil Krishna, sir, then log of 99 to the base 10 can be split into log of minus 9 to the base 10 plus log of minus 10 to the base 10. You cannot, because log of minus 9 to the base 10 is not defined at all. No, you cannot do that. Nikhil Krishna. Log AB to the base C cannot be written as log minus A to the base C plus log, okay, let me write like this. Log AB to the base C is equal to log A base C plus log B base C. This is what you have learned, no? This is what you have learned. Log of AB to the base C is not equal to, is equal to log A to the base C plus log B to the base C. This is what you have learned. This is only valid for A greater than 0, B greater than 0. As simple as that. What we generally do is we learn this rule, but we forget to understand this concept. Whenever you learn this rule, if you are reading it from a good book, this condition will also be there. This condition will also be there. We have to be clear. So in any book, if they say integral of x power n dx is equal to x power n plus 1 by n plus 1 plus c, if it is a good book, the condition will also be there. Okay, integral of x power n dx is equal to x power n plus 1 by n plus 1 plus c. But the condition is that n must not be equal to minus 1. That must also be specified. Only then that statement makes sense. Okay, right? So that's all. Let us continue with that table. For logarithmic functions, okay. For a power x, primitive is a power x by ln a plus c. For e power x, primitive is e power x plus c. Integral is e power x plus c. Primitive is e power x, but integral is e power x plus c. Okay. For trigonometric functions, not for all functions. Okay, anyway, we are not going to write it for all functions. So for trigonometric functions, primitive of cos x is sin x plus c. Integral of cos x dx is sin x plus c. Integral of sin x dx is minus cos x plus c. Why? Because derivative of cos x is minus sin x. Upper integral of minus sin x is cos x. Or integral of sin x is minus cos x plus c. Like that. Should I write plus c or minus c here? It does not matter. I already told you it does not matter. Okay. So other things are not exactly needed. Other trigonometric functions are not exactly needed. So let me write all those 4 functions. here itself. Integral of a power x dx is equal to a power x by ln a plus c. Integral of e power x dx is equal to e power x plus c. Integral of cos x dx is equal to sin x plus c. Integral of sin x dx is equal to cos x plus c. Like that. Okay. So this is the table. Okay. So how much is the table? This, all this is basically the table. So try to get that table by heart. Okay. Now let it be as distracting as possible so they can easily remember it, which page and all that. Understood? No, so these are some concepts that we don't get to hear every time, but we need to know that. Also, like absolute value function, what is square root of a square? What is square root of a square? Okay, fine. What is square root of 25? Square root of 25 is 5. We don't say plus or minus 5. That would be wrong. Okay, why? It would be wrong. Yes, there is a difference between these two questions. X is equal to root 25. That question, x square is equal to 25. This question, these two are different questions. These two are different questions. X is equal to root 25 is a linear equation. So it has only one root. We say x is equal to 5. That's all. X square equal 25 is a quadratic equation. X is equal to 5 or minus 5. Two roots are there. Try to understand. Okay. The first question in English, the first question is like asking what is square root of 25? How does it feel like that question can have more than one answer? If someone asks you what is square root of 25, it must be a unique answer. It's a function. It's a function applied on a variable. What is square root of 25? Cannot have more than one answer. Answer is 5. That's all. Okay. But if someone asks you, what does the second question look like? X square equal 25. That question looks like or sounds like, if you ask it in English, how do you ask it in English? X square equal 25. The square of which value is 25? The square of which value is 25? Now that may have different answers. That may have many answers. The square of which value is 25? I can square 5 to get 25. I can square minus 5 also to get 25. So that will give you more than one answer. That question may get more than one answer. But x is equal to root 25. What is square root of 25? You cannot get more than one answer. It's only 5. Okay. So root of 25 is 5. That's all. So what is square root of a square? Now again think and say what is square root of a square? People who are answering A, think again. Square root of a square is equal to what? I never told you whether A is positive or negative. You are thinking right for half a bit. For those who are answering plus or minus A, think again. You are telling me two answers. If you are saying plus or minus A, you are giving me two answers. Sherwin, good. Sherwin, correct. See, so square root of A square can only give one answer. Can only give one answer. That too, a particularly non-negative answer. It cannot give you a negative answer. We understood that already. For that purpose, we define modulus. Root of A square is not A because we don't know about A. A could be negative also. We don't know the value. We know that a is a constant. It could be a negative constant. No, we don't know if a is negative or positive. That is the purpose of defining a function, absolute value function, mod function. Root of a square is not a. Root of a square is mod a. Specifically non-negative. Could be 0, could be positive, but cannot be negative. Okay? Okay. Root of 5 whole square is equal to 5. Is it not? Root of 5 whole square is equal to 5. No doubt. What is root of minus 5 whole square? What is root of minus 5 whole square? 5 only. Root of minus 5 whole square is 5 only. Okay. So you may say, sir, a power m whole power n is equal to a power n whole power m. Okay. So root of minus 5 whole square can be written as root of minus 5 whole square, which is equal to minus 5. Wrong. Wrong, because a power m whole power n is equal to a power n whole power m is only valid for positive a. So that is the condition we missed to read. We don't read that condition, but it has to be told. A power m whole power n is equal to a power n whole power m only for positive base, positive a, not for negative base. So for minus 5, you cannot interchange the positions of root and 2, square root and square. I don't understand. What was the question? Ashwin asked, what will be the answer? Like whole square and then inside square root of 5. You're asking root 5 whole square. Root 5 whole square is clearly 5. It's a perfect square outside, no? It's a perfect square outside. So ultimately it's like output of square. Output of square cannot be negative. Okay? So root 5 whole square is 5. Root of 5 square is also 5. Okay? Root of minus 5 whole square is also 5. But root minus 5 whole square is not 5. The problem here is the same again. You are already dealing with an imaginary number, not a real number. Root of minus 5 is not a real number. Okay, in this question, you are not dealing with an imaginary number because the input for root is the output of a square, which is a perfectly positive number, non-negative number. Root 5 whole square is 25. And then you are finding square root of 25 only, not minus 25. But here, you are finding root of minus 5 and then squaring it. So you are already dealing with an imaginary number. So this answer is not 5. Got it? So these are all some nuances that we need to learn about logarithms, modulus function, exponents, indexes, bases, etc. Please study logarithm again. It is already, I think you already learned it in 10th standard. Oh, I don't know. I think it's not there in 10th standard. Please learn logarithms from whatever source. Nikhil Krishna asks, then, isn't square root of 25 be minus 5? No, Nikhil Krishna. Square root of 25 is never negative. Square root function will never output a negative answer. Ashwadi says, Max sir is teaching logarithms. Oh, good. Good for you. Yeah, so be more clear in that. Now, if your math teacher is teaching logarithms, have more clarity in that now. Try to ask more questions. See what conditions are being said. Nikhil Krishna asks, can the condition be a greater than or equal to 0? If it is in numerator, no problem. If it is in denominator, What is 1 by a square under root? Huh? Root of 1 by a square is 1 by mod a. 1 by mod a. But a cannot be 0 also here. But the question itself supplies that a is not 0. So there is no problem. Murli sir also taught it and you keep forgetting it. 3 teachers will teach you and you keep forgetting it. Okay, don't worry. So tomorrow will be the last class for calculus. Okay, tomorrow will be the last class for calculus. We will do some problems in integration and we'll see a couple of, we'll see one application of integral, that's all. And we'll close that calculus thing. Understood? Thereafter, it's all your wish to continue practice in calculus. If you take more functions and start differentiating them and integrating them to get an answer, you please do it on your own and you can always ask doubts after that, okay? After tomorrow, we will start Newton's laws of motion, but probably very basics, very small basic only we will do. On Monday, we will properly start the chapter, okay? So day after tomorrow or the day after that, we will do Newton's laws of motion. Meanwhile, before the exam, before the weekend test, we will do a small revision of kinematics also. We will also do revision of kinematics. Okay, Vignesh? Right, so great, nice. Roshan Vijay, all subjective tests will be in NCERT level, always. All subjective tests will be in the NCERT level, always. All objective tests will be in the JEE mains level, always. Okay? So that is the level. Pranavas. Sir, how is integral of sin x is cos x? It is minus cos x only, pa. Oh, did I write wrong? Sorry. Sorry. My mistake. Integral of sin x dx is minus cos x plus c. Okay. I think on the other slide I wrote it correctly. It's only a mistake. Yeah. My mistake only. Don't do. Will we have doubt class before the exam? Yeah, maybe we'll have. But today was supposed to be homework day. Tuesday is supposed to be the homework day. But I had already given you enough homework in calculus. Please submit it today. Let that be the homework for today. I will check the homework tomorrow. I think today is the last date, right? So tomorrow I'll check the homework and I'll get back to you. Please upload your homework in Learnity. Those who have submitted to me on WhatsApp also, please try to upload it on Learnity. Okay, so yeah, guys, thank you. I'll leave the class now. I'll end the session for all. See you guys. Bye. Good evening. Kaushik Babu, try to submit on Learnity. If you cannot, you let me know. Tell me on WhatsApp.